Hello everyone, this is Andrew Martin reporting live from the ChessBase studios in Hamburg for a very special couple of BCM games of the month. We would like to thank the ChessBase company for enabling us to use their facilities for this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, my game of the month for October 2015 is an interesting one. It comes from the World Blitz Championship, which was played during October in Berlin. And you might ask, well, what possible use could there be in showing a Blitz game? Well, first of all, the quality of this game, the coming game, is high. And secondly, it features something which I've been recording on this week, namely a variation of the Scandinavian, which is proving incredibly difficult for white to break down. And that is the move Queen D8. I've recorded a 60-minute series video for ChessBase on this, and the coming game is not in that video. Now, this variation has a checkered history because many of you will recall it went completely out of fashion due to a game Fischer versus Robach, which was analysed in my 60 memorable games. There, Fischer pummeled Robach, and I think he had another game against Addison in a later interzonal, where he also gave this variation a good thrashing. So who could be attracted by that? Back in 1999, many players tried to revive this variation with the help of the move C6 and then Bishop F5. That may be playable. It's not the line I recommend on the 60 Minutes DVD. And in this particular line, I think there are some issues with kingside pawn advances by white. But people who want to research a sharp variation could look at this. And there's also the move B5 here after Bishop C4, which is an interesting possibility. Again, not researched on my coming 60 Minutes series DVD. Instead, the move I recommend is the one played in this game, and it's a move which looks innocuous, yet many of the world's top players have been playing this recently. There were some games at the Tromsø Olympiad where Carlsen beat Caruana using this move. Complete surprise for white, no doubt. And Karyakin lost a game to a Bulgarian grandmaster whose name escapes me for the time being. But that showed the chess world that there was more to this variation than meets the eye. And the idea is very simple. When white plays h3, black's going to take the knight on f3 and play c6. A continuation resulting in a relatively simple middle game and a black position which is very difficult to break down. So a very good weapon, I think, against people who would really like to beat you with the white pieces. Not a particularly good choice against somebody with a much lower rating than you who's happy with a draw. But when they want to beat you, this is a pretty good choice. So the first point to note is that the focus of black's attention is white's d pawn. So white's got to find a way of defending it. In the game Caruana-Carlsen, I think white played knight e2 here. But in this particular game, a game between Hirneisa and Milanovic, both graded in the 2400s, high 2400s, white played what I think is the most natural move, bishop to e3. And then black set up the small centre with e6. He's basically saying, well, come on, break this down. White chooses the most aggressive continuation, and black plays a move which puts the pressure on straight away. So there's nothing fancy about this. And what I like about it from black's point of view is that it can be played by players of any levels. It's a very good time saver for club players who want something solid and who haven't really got the time to study long, complex variations. There's nothing complex about this. In fact, it reminds me of the Fort Knox variation in the French defence. Just to show you what that is, let me just go back. We can certainly see some similarities. The line where black takes on e4 and goes bishop d7, bishop c6, knight comes to d7. You can see that this could easily come to a similar type of position where, well, we get lots of pieces being taken off the board. Something like this. There you go. Very similar type of position. Simplified White's chances of making anything of a position like this are minimal. Very tough to create anything with White here. So let's go back to the game Herneisa versus Milanovic, with White playing bishop e3, e6 castles, bishop b4, and the threat to take on c3 is real. So White plays knight e4. Black's happy to trade and plays another really simple move here, queen to d5. Now you might find this very dry, but you have to understand that when you're playing black against a really strong player, they have many ways of trying to beat you. One way is to beat you on the theory, another way is to create a sharp position. It's very difficult for White to create anything sharp here. Perhaps White should just settle for a move like c3, bishop comes back, and it looks relatively equal. White's got the bishop pair, but does Black really have any difficulties here? Hardly. So White tried c4 in the game. Black took it and played knight to d7, setting a very, very small trap, in that if White pushed on with d5 here, which looked tempting, Black immediately plays rook c8, pinning the bishop to the king. So that's why White in the game plays king to b1. And Black just moves the bishop back to d6, so that after d5 he can play e5. So the position's changed, and White's trying to create some winning chances by giving himself a passed pawn. On the other hand, that pawn blocks the light square bishop, and at the same time he's given Black winning chances because Black has a majority there in the centre and on the king side. So this is the type of thing that can often happen using this variation. White overestimates his chances and Black steps in and takes the point. So rook he1 was answered by castles, and then White played bishop b5. Black economically defended the knight. Nothing fancy about this, easy moves. And after bishop g5, hoping to argue that f6 was a weakness, White just drops back, and Black plays a6, and White drops back again. g6. Well, there may have been the idea of bishop f5 there, and then bishop e6. So Black decides not to allow it, and White pushes forward with g4. Well, I suppose White is fractionally better here, but it's not the type of advantage that can be increased easily. That is the issue. Meanwhile, Black has got the long-term plan of activating that kingside pawn majority. White can try rook c1. Okay, there's no entry point on the file, but Black could easily just challenge on the file. And if White takes and plays g4, then we just bring the king up and we start to think about activating our majority with the help of moves like e4. Again, I ask you, is this anything special for White? Not really. Black can also consider bishop c5 here, which is quite an interesting idea. Once the dark square bishops come off, the light square bishop is not that impressive, because you don't really want your central pawn on the same colour square as your bishop. Therefore the knight might be slightly better than the bishop in that resulting position. So g4, and Black played bishop c5. White played h4, trying to make something of it. The king came up to g7. Takes, bishop c2, and now Black blockaded the pawn with rook d6. g5 was answered by rook e8. And I'm sure White thought he was making progress here after f4. But you could also argue that he's weakening his position. He's loosening his position. And so you just have to judge by seeing what happens in this game, as Black continues to make White's bishop look like a bystander by playing a5, just putting all the pieces on dark squares. White opens up the game, and now I think he makes a mistake. Well, this is a blitz game, so one cannot criticise the players too much. It is tempting to take on e5 check, but I think it's probably better to be patient here and play a move like a3. Just playing Black at his own game, just steadily improving the position and asking Black what he's doing. Instead, f takes e5, rook takes e5, encourages the Black rook to come into a very active square. And I'm not sure I like this position for white very much. Whether he takes on e5 or he plays the move as in the game, rook f1 check. Problem is, black's got this majority here, which he's going to turn into a pass pawn before very long. And the bishop, white's bishop, I have concerns for this piece because it doesn't really have a very good relationship with that d5 pawn. So king g7 was met by a3, and black won a pawn. White played b4. I guess if you're the defender, and white is the defender now, you would like to exchange off all the pawns. Knight a6 hit the pawn. White exchanged the rooks and played bishop b3. And the threat of rook f7 after black's rook moves looks scary, but black didn't see what that was achieving. So rook b5, and I think here it's not too early for white to resign because, well, he's losing a second pawn. If rook f7, we go king h6, that seems safe as houses, and white's pawns are dropping off. If king b2, as played in the game, black just took the pawn, king c3, took another pawn, in came the rook, takes on b7, knight c5, and black simplifies down to a completely winning position. So white decided to resign. And that is a representative game, which gives you a flavour of what black is trying to achieve when he plays in this way. Queen d8, knight f3, bishop g4, take off the knight, c6. Get a solid position, invite white to demonstrate an advantage. And in practice, it's been very difficult to do so. So thanks for watching this BCM Game of the Month, coming live from Hamburg. I hope you enjoyed it.